Today, we're going to be looking at the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. We're also going to be looking at some players that they could possibly add to the roster. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. And so let's start with quarterback Jayden Daniels. And so if you got a chance to look at that Packers game, towards the end of the game, Jayden Daniels did get rolled up on. He definitely got banged up a little bit, but he was able to finish the game. And so after the game, there was no official injury or update around Jayden Daniels. And so the team didn't say that he was injured. And also, too, at the current time of this recording, the team still hasn't officially said that Jayden Daniels came out of that Packers game with an injury. However, since that time, there have been reports that have surfaced that Jayden Daniels had to get an MRI on his knee. And so one of the sources that I got a chance to take a look at was NBCsports.com. And so you can check it out there. This is also too on Yahoo as well, if you'd like to take a look at that. And so within this, it says that Grant Paulson of 106.7 The Fan reports that Daniels underwent an MRI on Friday and the results are unknown. There's also a link in which you can click that and you can actually see the tweet and you can listen to what he had to say. It's a minute long on the video here. And so, once again, going back to the point that the team has officially not put anything out around Jayden Daniels. And so right now they haven't officially said that he got injured coming out of this game. But I definitely think that this is something worth monitoring because we know how important Jayden Daniels is to the Washington Commanders. And look, hopefully, if it is something to do with his knee, it's not something that is going to really hurt him throughout the season and something that he's going to have to power through. And so that is definitely something to keep tabs on right now. The most recent reports around Jayden Daniels is that he had to get an MRI on his knee. And so we'll be talking a little bit more as we get some more information. And so with that being said, I wanted to shift gears and look at some more injuries that are all but confirmed. And so just got a chance to take a look at this on ESPN.com. And so it looks like that defensive end Dietrich Wise Jr. officially out for the season with a torn quadricep. And so if you want to read about this, you can head over to this article title and you can see it for yourself. And so it looks like that he has torn his left quadricep here. And then for Austin Ekeler, the most recent update around him is that the team is getting an MRI and that they fear that it could be a torn Achilles. And so both of those players likely to be out. Actually, Dietrich Wise Jr., it says he is out. So with Austin Ekeler, we're still waiting to see what the results are, but it looks like that he's likely going to be out for the season as well. And so, just looking at the impact here, starting with Dietrich Wise Jr., look, I thought that you could definitely feel his presence, especially in that first game against the Giants. I think that we just really didn't get a chance to see some more in this game against the Green Bay Packers. But no doubt about it, I think that this is a tough loss because this is really a player that Bobby Wood Jr. wanted in this defense. He talked about this really throughout training camp and the practices and things like that, how they wanted to get some more size. They wanted to get some more power and speed up front and versatility. And Dietrich Wise Jr. was definitely that guy. And you could just feel that he was going to have one of those seasons where I think it just was probably going to be underrated. I think he was one of the players that I had circled as like, look, this guy could be a very, very sneaky good underrated pickup. And so unfortunately, he tears the quadricep on a field goal attempt, I believe is when he went down. And then with Austin Ekeler, look, that was just horrible because when you get a chance to go back and take a look at that, if you didn't see it in real time, non-contact injury for Austin Ekeler. And so you just hate to see that. Austin Ekeler definitely was going to play, I think, a much bigger role this season with the Commanders, even though I think he was huge last season. But clearly, it looked like that they were going to have him start off the games, and then they were going to see, okay, who has the hot hands? Maybe then this is where you could shift Austin Ekeler out there. He can be a little bit more of a pass catching specialist, and then you can let somebody else kind of handle the main running back duties and things like that. And so unfortunate that Austin Ekeler went down like this. And I just think that when you lose a guy that is just really, a guy that's a pro's pro at this point in time, and, we always talk about what he can do offensively in space and stuff like that. He's also very good when it comes down to pass protection and things like that. I think that that's something that, a lot of people don't talk about, is just how good these guys are as far as understanding where to be in pass protection and stuff like that. And so that's huge, especially when you're just buying your quarterback just that extra second of time. That can be the difference, between a huge gain or a sack, or, just maybe the quarterback having to throw it away. And so that is something that this team is going to miss. And so clearly, I think that this is where Chris Rodriguez Jr. is going to have to step up at this point in time. I think also, too, Jeremy McNichols is going to have to step up as well. And then I think we're going to see some more of Ja'Cory Krosky, a.k.a. Bill here. So we'll see some more of him. But I do think that there is the potential that the Washington Commanders are going to have to add some players with these players being out for the season. And once again, we'll find out some more with Austin Ekeler, but it just doesn't look good. And so, just looking at the running back position, and I think two running backs that come to mind right now, especially when you're looking at a player that could be a pass catcher for you out of the backfield. I think of a player that, and both of these players, by the way, the Commanders would have to trade for, but I think of the Buccaneers and I think of Rachaad White. I think that he could be a player that maybe the Commanders could maybe look to pick up the phone and see if he's available, because clearly he's taken a back seat here to Bucky Irvin over there. In fact, when you go and take a look in their first game, and I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game against the Atlanta Falcons, he only got 2 carries for 14 yards, but this is a guy that can handle the football as far as running it. And he's also a guy that can get out and get into space as a pass catcher as well. And he is on an expiring contract. And so this is the last year of his deal. And so maybe this is something where you trade for him, see what you can get, and go from there. And so I think that he's the guy that maybe the Washington Commanders might be looking to possibly add to help out at the running back position. And then another player, and I think that this would probably be, a huge swing for the fences here, but it's definitely somebody that we should probably consider. And I would say it would be Breece Hall of the Jets. I think that this would be, a guy that you maybe pick up the phone and see what's going on over here with Breece Hall, because with Breece Hall, and Coach Aaron Glenn, it looks like that they're going to go with a little bit of a committee kind of style over there. So, you have him. You also have Isaiah Davis. You also have Braylon Allen as well. And so I know Braylon Allen was getting some good work last year. But when you look at the opener for the Jets, Breece Hall, he got a lot of work because he had 19 carries, 107 yards, 5.6 was his average. And so I think that that's probably one of the better games that I've seen with Breece Hall. He has had the injury concerns, but I'll say this, look, he's on the final year of his contract as well. So both of those players are players that I'd say maybe the Commanders maybe pick up the phone and see what it might take to get both of these players over, one of these players over, to help in that running back room. And so just let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking there, if the Commanders should pick up the phone to see if any of these or both of these players are available, or if anybody else would be available via trade at the running back position. And so the next player that I think the Washington Commanders could really bring in to help for Dietrich Wise and his absence is, I would say, a guy like Preston Smith. I think that maybe Preston Smith a guy that has the versatility to play linebacker and defensive end. Maybe you go out and you add him, on a 1-year rental here and see what he can give you, because I think that maybe he comes over, he could probably execute on that right end, and you can also move him to the linebacker position. And so this kind of fits into what Joe Wood Jr. would want to do as far as being versatile, being able to come after the passer, get the sacks and things like that, because this is a guy for his career. He's got 70.5 sacks, so 70 and a half sacks. 70 and a half sacks for his career. And then when you look back at what he did in Washington, which is where he started his career, he had 8 sacks in his first year, 4.5 his second year, and then he came back with 8, and then he finished with 4 before he moved on to Green Bay. And so this guy is very capable of going in and getting you some sacks. I think that for the most part, you add him in with the pieces that you have on defense, I think he can certainly help us in the run game as well. And so I just think that these are 3 players that maybe the Washington Commanders could maybe look to add, with these injuries that have occurred against the Packers. And so once again, you guys let me know in the comments, do you think the Commanders should maybe pick up the phone here and see if Breece Hall and then Rachaad White are available via trade, both of these players in the final year of their contract? Preston Smith, defensive end / linebacker, could help us now that Dietrich Wise Jr. is out for the season. And then lastly, let me know what you guys are thinking here with Jayden Daniels and this information. And so once again, just to be clear, there's no official update from the team just yet, so we haven't heard anything, and we'll definitely be talking about that as we do get an update. But hopefully, Jayden Daniels is fine, even if he did have to get this MRI and it's confirmed that he's good to go, because certainly this would really impact the season. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, look, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.